welcome back to another episode on the show. This week, the world's biggest girl band, who are known for breaking records all over the globe, Blackpink, have just dropped their Roblox experience, so we're going to chat all about that. Also here at BasedAF, we've just released something that we've been working on for months for one of the biggest tech YouTubers on the planet. It goes by MKBHD with 15 million subscribers. I'll tell you everything you need to know about that, plus how you can go and play it immediately if you're into that. Also, we did have another news story at the top of the show, but we've had to remove it due to something to do with the writer's strike out of our control. So it's a slightly shorter show than usual, but valuable nonetheless, I hope. So all the links you need are in the description, and enjoy this week's episode. This is all about Blackpink.
Oh shit. My daughter woke me up this morning and said, Daddy, 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 I need to play Roblox. Can I play Roblox? Where is it? She raced through breakfast, but why?
For the Blackpink experience.
For the Blackpink experience.
Yep, there you go.
For there you go. Experience, yes.
That's what they want to do. Yeah, this is a big deal. Now, Blackpink, you probably have heard of. If you haven't, they are a girl band, biggest girl band in the world, probably up there with the biggest bands in the world at the moment. They are a K-pop band. They have broken so many records on sort of every front. They have 21 Guinness World Records, actually. I actually have 3 Guinness World Records, just to drop that in there.
Hang on.
Yeah.
We're going to come back to that.
Okay.
I need to know what they are. Firstly, because, but carry on.
Yep. They also won an MTV Awards. They headlined Coachella. They've got 57 million followers on Instagram. I think 30 billion streams overall. They're pretty much these sort of global titans, and they are smashing it. So this is a big deal. Globally, they are massive as well. So this is the experience. And we've seen similar things before, but it's like another big signal for a group this massive. So players will have the chance to explore a grand pastel palace home to interactive scenes from Blackpink's iconic music videos. So they're kind of putting that in an explorable environment inside Roblox. I think there's even a chance, don't quote me on this, don't tell your daughter because I might be wrong, but to meet Blackpink in Roblox. I think they're coming in for a bit, which would make sense. There's also like an in-game currency that you can get from mining sparkling crystals, and the hammer to mine is a replica of Blackpink's light stick. If you know what that means, you know a little bit more than me. But they're having kind of themed parties in there. They're actually the 3rd K-pop group to open a fan kind of hub like this in Roblox. Boy band group NCT 127. My K-pop knowledge is a bit weak. That might not be what they're called. And some others have been in there. And the most recent K-pop Roblox experience had 60 million visits to date. So it's been very, very successful. It's also, apparently, I read, part of the move from the South Korean government. They've reportedly invested $170 million in metaverse developments in 2022. More broadly, I know they are, spending a lot of money and embracing this a lot. So it's really interesting that this is happening.
Yeah, no, it is really interesting. And Blackpink are, it's a phenomenon. It's a phenomenon. It really is. They've been on tour just recently, and there's this whole the hard thing with K-pop is it feels very obviously manufactured. It feels very controlled as well. There are some dark stories about controlling images around K-pop stars, but I mean, my 11-year-old daughter is nuts for K-pop, but she's quite unusual in her. Most of her classmates aren't into that, but she found it. She found manga and anime and just landed on this thing, and she knows all the dances. She teaches herself this stuff, and she is the target audience for this 100%. And the fact that she was so excited about this, she wanted to get the light stick. There's a special badge that you could get if you were there within the first 24 hours in the Blackpink experience. She wants it because she wants to have it. My son wants it because he can sell it.
Ah, clever. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's going to be some value attached to those. And again, like, it feels weird for me because I have no connection with this band through that experience, but I watched the Blackpink music videos and they are incredible.
Oh, yeah.
On a performance level, on a music level, it's like it's very much the style of the day. But the fact they're on Roblox, and what was that other number? The other successful thing that done?
Yeah, they did a PUBG gig that won the MTV.
That's right.
Metaverse Award because that was a new category I think last year.
Yeah, and there's a K-pop band called KDA which comes from League of Legends. So there's all these kind of weird crossover and things happen. But Blackpink being in there, yeah, it's big. There's just like, who else could bring over an audience of that size? Obviously Taylor Swift. You know, you think about the size of her audience. Like Ed Sheeran probably will never turn up, but like these artists that have this very specific vision and idea, God, it's huge. The numbers are just staggering.
Yeah, and they're so engaged, that audience as well. Like that general kind of age group are the ones who are online all the time, who are native to all this stuff anyway. So they're they are like the numbers on that in terms of how long people spend there, how much they spend, on the in-game currency and the additional stuff is going to be really interesting. I think because it's like the perfect test because it will be crazy. Also interesting that your daughter it's quite rare now that with content that you turn up to a thing live and you're really excited to go and you want to go there at a specific time. Like that hasn't really happened for a long time, but these kind of experiences, kids are turning up at the time of appointment, which, there's so much content to choose from and they're ignoring it all and going for this.
Well, it is one of the criticisms about Fortnite at the moment that, a couple of years back when they were doing Travis Scott, they were doing these big concerts, those were really seen as like pushing the boundaries of what you could do in Fortnite. And they haven't done a huge amount since then. The live events kind of fallen away a little bit. And I think people are looking for them to come back. Obviously, UEFN is blowing up and is proving to be a big draw. But you're right, this appointment of you, this come now, be here now element. And you're talking about the South Korean government investment in the metaverse. They have their own platform, Zepeto. I'm trying to get more information on that because one of our investors also invested in them, quite a large round. But that South Korean market, K-pop, it's just like they're made for each other, absolutely made for each other. It's again what you were saying last week about the Asian market having a very different mindset towards all of this. Again, totally on the money. Yeah.
It's interesting for sure. Do you want to know what my world records are now?
I actually do want to. I'm so curious.
One of them I'm not proud of. As a man who doesn't eat meat anymore, I hold the record for the person who's made the most amount of hot dogs in 1 minute, which was 11. So, but I didn't. I just put the hot dog in the bun and then mustard. Actually, cut the bun, mustard, ketchup, and that was counted as one.
Was this on TV?
Yeah, this was back in kids' TV.
Oh, yeah.
We used to do them quite regularly.
Oh, nice.
I also hold the record for stretching slime the furthest. So, is that right? Is that an achievement? Not sure. And catching beach balls blindfolded, shared with my friend. All things have made my parents incredibly proud. But I did get disqualified from a mass attempt of flossing. There's a bit of my brain.
How do you get disqualified from flossing? What did you do wrong? It's like if you're doing like the 25k walk and you've like accidentally lift 2 feet off the ground at the same time. But what happened?
It was quite hilarious because I've got something wrong in my brain about coordination. I just can't really get flossing. I was like, well, I'll just hide amongst. There was like 600 kids. There was like a drone shot from a roof and everything, and there was all the kids there, and they all did it, and it was a big world record, and they did pass it, and it was like, wait, everyone went crazy, and then the adjudicator person came up to me at the end, and she was like, but you got disqualified because you can't do it, and I was like, oh, okay, just kept it quiet, but I don't have that one. So.
Is this floss dancing or
floss dancing?
Oh,
yeah.
floss dancing. Oh yeah, no.
Oh, not flossing teeth.
Like, above a certain age, you actually are disqualified from being able to do it full stop.
Yeah. You should just be publicly disqualified.
It's like kids can hear noises above a certain frequency. Like adults, at a certain point, you are unable to floss.
Yeah.
And I feel that the same thing should be applicable to twerking. Above a certain age, you should not be able to twerk.
Yeah.
It should just be
I agree.
Anatomically impossible. So we have these periodic large videos that we try and do each year. I mean, I say each year, we've only been in existence for 1 year, but running the marathon in VR was one of them. Sorry, ultra marathon. This MKBHD level we did was another one. We are lining up another one, which is we're going to try and beat a world record, some kind of gaming world record in a couple of months' time.
Oh, nice.
So yes, so my ears pricked up when you talked about world records.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Good. Yeah. I know the person. I can sort you out.
Back in the day, I don't know if this is before your time, but there was a show on children's BBC called Record Breakers.
Yeah.
And they'd always get this guy from Guinness World Records to come and like, what was the presenter's name? It was Roy Castle.
Yes, Roy Castle.
Roy Castle, the great late Roy Castle. But the guy they would get from the Guinness Book of World Records, his name has stuck with me through the ages because it was just so unlikely. His name was Norris McWhirter.
What a name!
Yeah, and he had a brother who I think was Ronald McWhirter.
That's amazing.
a twin brother. So the pair of them would turn up from the Guinness World Records like, who is this strange man? Yeah, that's Norris McWhirter.
I might make that my gamer tag name. That's great. Good stuff. All right, well, the final thing we want to talk about, which is a big deal. This is something that you've been working on at Based for many months, and I think is like it's one of the first. It is the first thing like this that I've seen. It's very of the moment. So maybe you could tee us up for what you've been doing.
Yes. So back when I started Based, I was trying to come up with big, interesting concepts that we could do in the metaverse or metaverse related, and we had a bunch of them. One of them, the thing that I hooked investors with, was running a marathon in the metaverse. So just the idea of like, could you run a seriously long way in the metaverse? And that was interesting. And then I was like, well, what would we do next? And I was trying to think about the way we use virtual spaces and how we use virtual spaces, because they can be a little kind of architectural. You just like, it's a thing, it's there, and so what? So I was trying to think, if we were to build something in the metaverse, rather than just build something wild, why don't we build something that already exists for a YouTuber? Someone that has a cool studio that people see in videos, but they can't actually go and visit. Like, what would it be like to build that studio? So the person I alighted on was MKBHD, because MKHD is the YouTuber of the decade, and he has an incredible studio that he's invested a ton of money into, and it just felt like it'd be really fun for his audience to be able to visit his studio. And we built it in Monoverse. So we built it in Monoverse originally, and we started this back in October, and we modeled the whole thing out, and we realized that it's like, okay, you can go in there and you could basically treat it like an elevated Zoom call. So you could go in there and you can have voice chats, and you can have people talking in there, and you can have meetups and all this kind of thing, but it feels a little limited. So Max from our team started building a kind of parkour game in there and started enabling people to kind of run around and unlock things, and it was kind of limited. And at a certain point, when it just doesn't feel like it's big enough or strong enough or interesting enough to make into a film, so we kind of canned it. And then back in March, UEFN turned up, and I started thinking about the MKBHD level studio and everything else, the advanced photorealistic capabilities of Unreal Engine. I was like, this is what we need to do, because Marques is actually a metaverse skeptic. He doesn't really like the metaverse. He thinks it's idiotic. And so what better way to kind of introduce him to this than by building his entire studio in Fortnite and turning it into a game that he could actually play? Because then his community could get really interested in it. We could start telling a slightly different story about the metaverse. So we did it. We built the entire studio, and we looked at tons of videos. We looked at the kind of things that he would really respond to, but we couldn't publish it unless we got his permission. So we've basically been in this mission to try and get him and his team excited enough about what we were doing to get over their apprehension about the metaverse and embrace it and give us permission to publish it. In about 2 hours' time, we will be publishing it. So by the time this goes out, it will have been published.
Yes.
But in order to get him excited about this, we delivered another thing that I was trying to do in the metaverse, which was like back in like the late 1990s and early 2000s, MTV Cribs was just like, I couldn't get enough of it.
Iconic.
Absolutely incredible. And it was like celebrities showing you around their homes, some of which weren't actually their homes.
No. Imagine I used to download it illegally because I loved it so much, and when I couldn't watch it on MTV, I used to get it off LimeWire.
Yeah, it's this wish fulfillment thing. It's like you go and see, like, I don't know, like Missy Elliott's house, and it's like you imagine that these people are so rich they'll buy whatever they want and have the most absurd things, and it was absolutely right. Yeah, Missy Elliott has chairs with fish tanks built into them, and she sleeps in a Ferrari bed. Like,
and the fridge, they always went to the fridge.
Always went to the fridge. Exactly right. So we're like, I've always had this image in my head, like, what if we did Cribs, but we did it in the metaverse? So like, people build all these crazy things, and like we go and tour around them. And only recently was it possible for us to do that. So what we did was we shot a pilot episode of this show that we want to do called Maps, not Cribs, Maps. It's not the same show. And we did it like an episode of Cribs, but we did it in Marques' studio. So it's me as a digital character showing Marques around his own studio, but showing him what we've done in the metaverse. Because basically what I realized is, like, in order to hook him, in order to get them excited, we need to do something that's so like, oh my God, that they'd be like, yeah, we definitely want to do this. And thankfully, it worked. And not only that like Epic came calling and said, we really want to know what you guys are up to. They heard about it as well. I was like, oh damn, we're onto something here. So there's quite a few interesting things that have come out of this, and we've been sitting on it and sitting on it and sitting on it. But like the lessons we've learned from building in UEFN, things that it's really good at, things that are very limiting. We've learned a huge amount in terms of like hooking people of influence who are involved, like Marques, but getting them kind of hooked into the Fortnite world is really effective, because it gives them firstly, it's a revenue stream, but it gives them access to an audience that might not necessarily otherwise be engaged with them, but it also gives them another forum for telling stories and for allowing people to experience their story. And I think we hear a lot about that, like, taking a McDonald's experience and putting it in the metaverse. But in this instance, we really had to think about the Marquesverse, as we called it. Like, what does his world look like? How do we experience it? What would make it exciting for people to come and be part of? So he has this robot that he's really proud of, and that's really just like a sick piece of equipment. And in the game, it has a laser attached to it, and if you get too close, it will kill you. He has a billiard table, and actually there's a hidden area in the billiard table that you can go downstairs and actually, fight, and there's all sorts of weird things. And also, we shrunk everyone down, so you're in the studio, but you're tiny. So you have to like get around using grappling hooks and kinetic blades and all those kind of things. So, yeah, it was really, really, really interesting. And then like all the collateral you have to create, like the imagery, the trailers, and all these kind of things. At every turn, we've been trying to think, how do we do it our way? How do we do it in a way that's like consistent with this idea of bringing a new audience into Fortnite, rather than just aping every single other piece of Fortnite thumbnails or everything else that belong that are really targeted at the existing audience? How do we get a new audience in? And that's been quite a challenge.
Yeah, it's so cool, like, for a lot of reasons, I think, because number one, it's just like unavoidably, or I can't think of the word, but like it's just so fun, right? Like there's no way. It was like a really clever strategy, I think, to go to him, and he's obviously got a huge fan base, but you've got to offer him something that he can't ignore. So it's so well built and it's so fun to play that it's like, okay, you've achieved that. You couldn't possibly ignore it. Like his face when he watched it was just like, what the... Partly because he was like, how have you done this? And from piecing all the videos together, he was kind of stunned, but then it was just, and it was a cool thing to watch. And then also I think it's the beginning of a trend when you think about like the individual creators becoming these huge giant brands. MrBeast is the obvious one, where he's releasing physical products like Feastables and things like that. Like the next trend I think we'll see is them creating their worlds, obviously, like MrBeast Land or Marcus Land or whatever. And it's like, it's such a strong brand thing that brings fun and all this new audience. And yeah, we'll leave the island code in the description because it will be live, and like go and experience it if you can, because it's really interesting. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think that I've seen a lot of videos where people make something like they'll make an Iron Man suit for MrBeast because MrBeast said he wanted an Iron Man suit. You make it, you hand it to him, and then it's done. Whereas with this, because the maps can be updated, if something changes or they want to make something different happen, or they want to have a meetup, or they want to have a live event or a tournament, all of that's built into Fortnite already, and it can be adapted and changed and upgraded. But I think the tough bit for us was the moment his team looked at us, they saw Metaverse. They saw Web3, and they went, oh no. Because they really liked the Cribs episode. They really liked all the stuff that we showed them. They liked the game, but the Metaverse bit, the Web3 bit, was a massive blocker.
Interesting.
And so one of the hardest things was having the conversation with his team to say, listen, what you think is the metaverse, i.e. Mark Zuckerberg and Meta and all these troubling things, that's this one like sliver or interpretation of this. Go and look what's happening in Fortnite. This is a game. This is an existing community, and it's being slowly onboarded into this idea of the metaverse. Tim Sweeney is all over this, like NVIDIA's all over this. It's not toxic anymore, and it's amazing that they had this one single opinion of it, and they're in their bubble, they're doing their thing, and once they hit that opinion, they couldn't see anything else. And I guess that's the issue we have. But the way we got past it was we just showed them work that was undeniably good, and we clearly put a lot of time and effort into. And I think he'd obviously spent so much time developing and building out his studio to see somebody else put as much time and effort into building a replica or a facsimile of it that he could actually use, where he didn't have to do anything. I think that hit home. So it was an object lesson in quite a few different things for us in terms of delivering the kind of experience that we want to deliver, and working with people like at the very highest level of this new modern media entertainment paradigm that we're in. So yeah, pretty exciting. And I'm curious where we can go next, and I'm curious who we might be able to work with next off the back of this.
Yeah, I won't be surprised when other people will slide in the DMs, be like, you made that really cool entire level playable game thing for Marcus. Can you do maybe
Let's
do that
see
for us.
it. Let's see it. I mean, you've got to put stuff out into the world.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that if you put stuff out into the world and it's the best that you can possibly do, something comes back.
Yeah.
It might not come back straight away, but I firmly believe that, and that's kind of what we've been building up to. And it's been, I guess it's been a tough thing for me, having been in the previous job I was in, where it was very much a volume game. Like, I can turn up every day, shoot a bit of content, put it out there. To dial that back, have the confidence in like a really big swing and put a lot of effort and energy into it, but like then you know your execution is everything and your delivery is everything, and like pulling it off and making sure it comes through. There's a lot more risk on it, but I feel like for everybody in the team, it's just been like this. Everyone's pretty proud of what we've done.
Yeah, and it stands out from the, like we talked about before, sort of AI content of the same standard. That's just, you know, like the junk sort of stuff that's going everywhere. So yeah, it's very cool. We'll make sure we leave everything below. Definitely go and check it out and get in touch if you find it interesting, for sure. But I think that's probably the pod.
That is the pod.
Yeah.
Now we actually got to go and deliver the thing now, because
Yeah.
by the time this comes out, it's all done. But right now, we're really in it. So yeah, back to work.
Peace.
Peace.